Hi there, welcome to Live with the Paper Pixie. I'm Julie DiMatteo, coming to you live from Alpharetta, Georgia. This is episode 253. Thanks for joining me tonight. We're doing quick and easy tonight because I'm on my way to New Orleans in the morning, but I am so excited about tonight's project. We are going to make this chocolate and chapstick treat box. This is a reincarnation of a swap that I did at the very last in-person Stampin' Up! Event. And I created a whole bunch of these for my swaps for New Orleans for our backstage event. So tonight I will be showing that to you. Let me show you what's on the inside of the box so you can get excited about it. So we talked about the Chap Ice last week, but it's 2 Hershey's Nuggets and a Chap Ice chapstick with a sweet little divider. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks tonight about how to make multiples as well. We'll create the project from start to finish, then I will share some tips or tricks. Brian, are you ready? Brian is watching. This is my husband, Brian. He's watching for your questions and comments during tonight's live stream. If you do have a question for me, be sure to put Q: in front of that question. That will help cue the questions at the end of the live stream when we'll take all of your questions. We'll do a rapid fire Q&A. I'll stay on until I answer all your questions. If you shop with me, you'll earn Pixie Perks on orders of $25 or more. You do want to make sure you use my current host code on orders under $150. The easiest way to do that is to use my shopping link, thepaperpixie.com/shop. That will automatically apply my current host code, as well as take you to my online store and ensure that you're shopping with me. If you are placing an order of $150 or more, don't use the host code because you'll earn Stampin' Rewards on that, but you will also earn Pixie Perks. All right, I'm going quickly through this, aren't I? I do have show and tell from the kids. It's Legos tonight. Oops, I knew that was going to fall. Lily asked if we could have sticky tack. So this is my daughter Lily, who's in 4th grade. Let me make sure I put this back together. This cute little girl sitting on a seat with a laptop. So this is what she made. It's hard to see from the top, but it's like a 2-story house with a bunch of friends in the house. There's a little bunny at the bottom. I'm afraid if I tip this, just to show you some of the detail in there. So that's what Lily chose for show and tell. If you're new here, my kids like to choose show and tell to share with you. And this is Nolan's really quickly. This is a Jurassic Park themed layout. He's got, oh gosh, a briefcase, a walkie-talkie, there's a computer screen, obviously a giant dinosaur, but he had a lot of fun with this. Now it did break on its way to my craft room, but he rapidly put it together because he was so excited to share with you. Nolan is in 1st grade, so I'm gonna put this back here because you probably don't have space. Oh gosh. All right, so let's jump into tonight's project. This is what it looks like. I'm obsessed with it. It's teeny tiny, but it is such a great little pick-me-up, especially during the holidays, but really any time of year, because who doesn't need chocolate and chapstick? So that's what I'm calling tonight's project, a chocolate and chapstick treat box. Let me get that flipped around there. It's just a little mini Chap Ice. I do have a link on my favorites page to 2 different sizes for that. I'll show you the size that I bought for swaps. These are, awesome Hershey's Nuggets. And I just have them wrapped in designer series paper. We're using the Boughs of Holly suite for this. But I don't know if you guys know where I got that bow from. That is coming from the Cottage Wreaths bundle. And I'm obsessed with that bow, especially cut out in that gold glimmer paper. It's so funny, the camera is not sure what to do with that. But this is just a stunning combination of products. And I love that little glitter bow peeking behind it. So why don't we go ahead and jump into this. I'm gonna grab my measurements really quickly. All right, so for the base of this gift box, we are gonna start with a piece of cardstock. This is shaded spruce, and this measures 5 inches by 5 3/4. Gonna bring in my Simply Scored, but use your scoring tool of choice. And along the 5 3/4 inch side, I'm gonna take those off so we're not confused by that. 5 3/4 inch side, we're gonna go ahead and score this at 3/4 and 1.5 from each side. So just rotate it 180 and repeat those measurements again. 3/4, 1.5. Then I'm gonna rotate it to the short side or the 5 inch side, and we're gonna score this at I'm looking at my notes, 3/4 again, but then the next one is 2 1/8. So 3/4, 2 1/8, rotate it 180. We're gonna do 3/4 and 2 1/8 again. So this is the cardstock base, and I put cuticle oil on my fingers and that went to the cardstock. Gotta love that. All right, I've got another piece of shaded spruce cardstock. Now forgive me, this is at a 1/16 of an inch measurement, but that is so that this will fit in the box without you having to fight with it at all. It's always easier to cut your cardstock to the 1/16 of an inch, and then it's real easy on the Simply Scored to score it. So this measures 5 1/16. Let me show you where that is on the paper trimmer. That is literally just one tiny tick mark to the left of the 5-inch mark. So don't go to 5 1/8. You go to that first tick mark. It's a little bit, there we go, right there, that first tick mark. That's 5 1/16. So 5 1/16 by 1 1/4. Okay, that's the only 1/16 inch measurement I have for you today. So we're gonna go ahead and score this divider insert at 2 7/8 and 4 1/8. I'm gonna show you how I do this because I wanna make sure that the score lines are going in the right direction. So 2 7/8 and 4 1/8 from each side. So 2 7/8, 4 1/8. But then I'm gonna flip it to the back side of the paper because we're gonna have these score lines going in opposite direction, and we're gonna do 3 1/2 from each side. Now, if you don't really care about doing that on either side, totally fine. So those three measurements, again, are 2 7/8, 3 1/2, 4 1/8 from each side. So you'll just do those three, and then again, 2 7/8, 3 1/2, 4 1/8. So we've got something that looks like this. Now it looks like a bit of an accordion, and that's because I scored on opposite sides, okay? So that's all the scoring that we have to do for tonight. I will show you at the end some of my tips and tricks for doing multiples. I'm gonna put this strip to the side for now. And then we're gonna start with this 5 3/4 by 5-inch piece. Going to grab a bone folder which has walked away. And I'm gonna go ahead and fold and burnish on all the score lines. I'm so excited to share this treat box with you. It was so fun to design and to make. I love it so much, I'm making 100 of them to take with me to backstage because I'm crazy like that. I'm gonna bring in the template here. So I'm gonna start doing cuts on the short side, okay? So this is sort of in landscape, but I'm gonna turn it this way to the back side. It's now in portrait. And my paper snips here. This is the way that my brain works. I'm gonna start on this side. So I'm gonna come up each of the vertical score lines and stop at the second horizontal score line. We only need to do the first 3 from the right, and I'm just gonna cut right up the middle to make this really easy. So 1, 2, and 3. The next thing we're gonna do is remove these 4 sections in the corner. So I'm just gonna turn it 1/4 of a turn, and I'm gonna come in 2 score lines and cut up 2 score lines to remove those 4 sections in the corner. Same thing, I'm just cutting right up the middle of that score line. If you do cut just inside the score line, you may have difficulty with the lid of this box tucking in. You want a little bit of friction for that. So I do recommend you just go right up the middle of that score line. Sort of repeating the same thing here. I'm gonna move over here while we're still on this side, and I'm gonna cut up this second score line in from the left and stop at the second score line up. Then I'm gonna turn it 1/4 of a turn again, and this time I'm ignoring this first score line because we wanna remove all 4 of these squares. I'm gonna come up here and remove that corner, and then cut up these 2 vertical score lines that remain and stop at the second horizontal score line. So we've got something that kind of looks like this. Again, this is the long side, the 5 1/2 inch side. This is the short side, the 5-inch side, and we've kind of loosened up these tabs here. So what I like to do is fold this larger section out of the way. And we do need to remove just a little bit of these tabs so that when they fold into the box, there's no overlap. It's not the end of the world if it overlaps, but it is a little bit easier if you just come in and cut away, I don't know, I do about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch just to the left of that score line. And we're gonna do that on just the tabs. As long as you have enough tab to glue to the inside, it doesn't need to be exact. Nobody's gonna see that. And then I'm gonna come in and miter cut on those 2 tabs. And when I miter cut, I just cut a little sliver of a piece of cardstock like that. Do that to both tabs. You'll make lots of paper mess doing this project, especially if you make 100 of them like me. But this is such a fantastic craft fair project. Just kind of a fun little gift box. And then I'm also miter cutting just this outside section here. This side is going to fold, or this tab's going to fold into the box. So mitering the edges allows that to fold in without the paper edges getting in the way. So that side is done. I'm going to rotate it 180 and we're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side. Again, we're removing this outside section and then coming in just a little bit. Show you that again. I just went a little bit past the score line just to make that tab a little bit smaller. Like so. Then I'm going to come in and miter cut on those tabs. And then miter cut on this little section here on the outside. Okay, there we go. Let's get this paper mess out of the way. Forgot that I needed these punches. All right, so we're also going to round the corners of this top section. This is going to be the lid that tucks into our box, sort of like this. So we're going to round those corners, so grab any corner rounder you have. I love the detailed trio punch, but again, it's retired. And then I've just grabbed a little small circle punch. This happens to be a 1/2 inch circle punch. We're going to put a little finger notch. So if we've got it in this orientation, that finger notch goes right here, and I just try to center it left to right between the 2 score lines. And I'm only coming in about 1/3 of the way into that circle punch, just enough so that someone can get their thumbnail in there to open the box. And then we'll come in and round these 2 corners. Like so. Stay tuned. We will link to a project sheet for you at the end of the live stream so you can go ahead and make this project, because if you're anything like me, you're not going to be able to wait to make one of these. Or maybe Amazon will make you wait if you have to order the chap ice. All right, so we've done that. Now I've cut some pieces of paper, and let's take a quick break to talk about the Boughs of Holly suite. The products we're using tonight come from the Boughs of Holly suite on pages 24 and 25 of the mini catalog. Beautiful suite. What really takes this suite up a notch is the gorgeous designer series paper. It's already sold out once for a brief period of time. I believe it is back in stock, and it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous pack of paper. Let me show you a little bit up close what this looks like. Just beautiful. I love the poinsettia piece. And I love this pattern. We're going to use that for the top of our gift box. And in the Leaves of Holly bundle, I wanted to show you that up close. Really classic Christmas bundle here. I love the season's greetings and Christmas wishes. Those are interchangeable with the dies that come with it. I absolutely love this banner. Let me pull these out so you can see it. This one takes the cake. It does a whole tag with the holly leaves already attached to it, and it's just stunning with the details that are on it. But I die cut a piece from basic white of this banner piece. And then the country wreaths dies, I had these in my stash. This is available in the mini catalog as well. And if you are partaking in the World Card Making Day event, the country Cottage Wreaths bundle is one of the 3 bundles that Stampin' Up! Will be using during that event, but it has this amazing bow die cut. So let me show you what that looks like up close. Get all our pieces and parts here. Let's start with the gorgeous bow first. That's in that the glimmer paper that's in the catalog that comes with 3 colors. I want to say it's Very Vanilla, Evening Evergreen, and Gold, I think. But look at that. Now you may not be able to see. I'm going to flip it over. You can see that there is some die cutting detail to that. I'm showing you on the back of this because it's a little hard to see it on that, but how cute is that bow? So grab that from the Country Wreaths dies. This is the die cut that I die cut out of basic white. And then we've got 2 pieces. This is for the lid of our box. The first one measures 1 1/4 by 2 5/8. And the second one measures 1 1/8 by 2 1/2. I love that pattern. I've also cut 2 pieces to 1 inch by 3 inch of a coordinating pattern in that Boughs of Holly designer series paper. 1 inch by 3 inch, okay? So those are the pieces that we need. And I'm just gonna layer these 2 with some liquid glue first. It's easier to put this on our box before we put the box together. We are also going to use some tear and tape tonight. That helps put this together a little bit faster, or easier, I should say. So I love that little pop of the real red behind that designer series paper. And that's just going to glue right here on our lid. Now don't do what I did before. I glued it on the bottom of the box by accident. You want to glue it to the section that doesn't have any tabs attached to it. And if you had a directional pattern, you want this piece to be cut in landscape. And then you want to make sure that your pattern goes top to bottom towards the rounded edges. Like the rounded edges would be the bottom, okay? I love liquid glue for this part because it gives me time to slide things into place and get it right where I want it. Like so, okay? Now I'm going to bring in our tear and tape here. I'm going to flip to the back side of our gift box here, and I'm just going to put a couple of strips of tear and tape. I do like to use my little metal ruler here. A credit card works as well. We're just going to put tear and tape right there on that outside edge. That gives us an opportunity to not get glue all over our hands. There we go. All right. Now it's time to put our beautiful box together. Just making sure that that tear and tape is down and burnished. Bringing in liquid glue again. We're going to start with 1 tab at a time. So I just like to put liquid glue, go right up to the score line, and we're going to line up this score line with this cut edge to form our first box corner there. Love the liquid glue for this because you can line that up right into place. You want to make sure that that is straight and lined up, using your cut line to help you line it up there. And then just work your way around to the last 3 tabs, or the remaining 3 tabs. This part is so relaxing for me to do the corners. And then the last one. All right, so grab your favorite pokey tool of choice. I'm gonna kind of fold those sides back a little bit so then I can just remove the backing of the tear and tape here on those side flaps. So I just took the backing off, and we're just gonna fold those sides right into the box. We're just folding it right over the edge there, and then I like to come in with the bone folder and just reinforce that, kind of burnish the edge there and press everything into place. So this is the basics of the box. That little tab is just going to tuck in like so, and it's going to hold itself closed. But let's go ahead and put in that cute little insert. Let's see. We are going to put a little bit of tear and tape here. I'm paying attention to where. Okay. So I'm going to do the tear and tape really quickly, and then I'll explain where I put it and why. I'll bring it up closer to the camera. I've had a lot of practice with this box, making 100 of them. All right. So I put tear and tape just underneath that top score line there. Now that is a valley score line if you're following me with sort of which side of the cardstock I was doing the tear and tape, okay? And then same thing on the opposite side. We're just doing the same thing in opposites, right? So I'm gonna go ahead, next I'm gonna fold and burnish on the score lines, and I'll show you the side profile so you can see sort of which direction all these pieces go in. And if you score on the same side of the cardstock, no big deal. Eventually, you'll fold everything into place in the right direction. So ultimately, your piece is going to look like this. You can have your tear and tape on the back there. You could use liquid glue for this as well, but again, we're looking for speed a little bit or some efficiency. So I'm going to go ahead, let me put it that way so you can kind of see it. Looks like cat ears to me. I'm going to come in and remove the tear and tape off of that. And then you're just going to fold on those cat ears. I'm nicknaming things as I go. So then you're going to have a piece that then looks like that. Almost like an EKG. That's what it looks like to me. And this is just going to lay right inside the box. There is no need to adhere that down. You absolutely can if you want to, but the recipient might be able to repurpose the box if they don't want to put a chapstick and chocolates in it. So I just leave that loose. The items will actually weigh that down. See how it's kind of trying to pop up? Now, let me bring in 2 Hershey's Nuggets. Where did I put them? There we go. I got this giant bag from Kroger. I think there was 91 in the first bag I opened. I was sitting there doing the math because it's so funny. It says it's 893 grams. But then, of course, I don't know if you guys do this when you buy candy for craft projects, but I always read the serving size and then how many servings per container and then do the math. Well, this says varied servings per container. I'm like, well, that doesn't help me. So I took 29 grams, or I should say, I took 893 grams divided by 29, and I found out there was approximately 91 of these in the bag, and actually was pretty true. I'm just gonna grab 2 gold ones. And if you haven't ordered nuggets recently, they've got some new labeling on there. Okay, so we've got our 2 pieces of cards of designer series paper. Again, these were 1 by 3. I'm just gonna put a little strip of tear and tape right along the top. And then we're going to wrap the nuggets. I'm sure many of you have tried this before. Love this tip, especially from Brenda Quintana and all of her amazing Hershey's Nuggets projects. Take the backing off, and then I just take the back side of the nugget, start the side or the end that does not have the tear and tape, because I want the recipient to be able to slide this off. And then I'll just tightly wrap that around the chocolate, lining up the edges there, like so. And then you've got a beautiful Hershey's nugget. Love that gold. Really all that, the silver, the copper, and the gold wrappers all look beautiful with this box. So we'll just repeat the same thing with the other chocolate. Like so. We're gonna pop those 2 in the box. And then I got the big mega chap ice. This came with 120, I think. There's 3 different flavors, but I do have this linked on my favorites page, thepaperpixie.com/favorites, both sizes. So this is price-wise a better deal, but you may not want 120 mini chapsticks. So I'm just gonna grab, we'll grab the cherry one, and that will fit right there in the center. It's got it smells like fruit punch when you open the lid with all those scents together. So that's what it looks like on the inside. I love that little divider. It kind of keeps everything in its place. Then the lid will just tuck in. Okay, so let's go ahead and decorate the lid here. I'm gonna grab 2 mini glue dots. Again, we're going for efficiency here. And I'm just gonna put 1 glue dot behind each sort of set of the bow loops, I guess. I'll show you what it looks like up front or up close. Just two glue dots there. And then I just put this at a little bit of an angle, sort of anchoring it with the top, the bottom, and the left edge, like so. Okay. I've got my banner piece that's already cut. Now, again, this is for efficiency purposes. I had Brian actually cut a whole bunch of blanks for me. But I created a template with the Boughs of Holly stamp set. Nope, Leaves of Holly stamp set. They always trip me up with their names. So just a quick tip here if you've never seen this technique before. I put the stamp on the clear plate or the Stamparatus plate. I grab like a quarter sheet of basic white cardstock and put that up in the corner, ink up my stamp, stamp the quarter sheet, okay? Then I take the quarter sheet with the die and I line it up where it needs to be, and I make sure I make a note of where the top of the template is. And then what I've created is a template that I can then just die cut a whole bunch of blanks, pop that right in the template. I say that as I slip it right under the template. Oh goodness, here we go. Again, we get to just slide that right in the corner. It goes this way. Sometimes with our dies, they go a certain way. There we go. And then what I can do is ink up this. I do prefer to have a stamp set under here. This other one here that says Love and Big Hugs, I'm using for my second set of swaps. I have a template for that as well. But I'm going to go ahead and stamp or ink this up with Evening Evergreen. And now that's going to stamp exactly where I want it to go. And I can come in with my take your pick tool to get that out. But we have a perfectly stamped, lined up the way I want it because I did that work ahead of time to create my template. Okay. Thank you. Dropping things here. All right, and then, one second. I'm going to grab a little mini dimensional and I'm going to put that right between the tails of the bow. That's going to sort of serve as the anchor for the left side of my die cut. And then I'm just going to grab a pair of regular dimensionals. If you don't have the minis, just take one of these and trim a little tiny piece. And I'm just going to put two basically behind the right side, okay? And then I'm going to line up the right edge of this with the real red cardstock, and I'm going centered top to bottom, making sure that's straight. And that way it's picking up that mini dimensional in between the bow tails so that we don't have any varying levels here if one of the dimensionals were to land on top of the bow. Hopefully that makes sense. And then while the festive pearls, excuse me, are currently out of stock, they are estimated to be back the week of September 12th. As you can see, I've already used all the red for my swaps, but the gold looks gorgeous as well. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm gonna pick up one of the gold festive pearls. Now the packaging on these, I don't still have the original packaging, but I think it said red and green pearls on it, which confused a lot of us. These are the festive pearls. They come in red, green, silver, and gold, and they'll be back the week of September 12th, okay? So there is our finished chocolate and chapstick treat box. Go ahead and open that so you can see what the inside looks like. Love that, and you can have fun coordinating the designer series paper on the inside with the outside. Lots of fun. Now let me share a couple of tips and tricks if you're going to be doing multiples of this, because trust me, it's one of those projects that is very addicting to make. And I just love this idea all year round, just to give out as a random act of kindness. This would be such a sweet little pick-me-up for somebody. The grocery store clerk, your nail technician, the postal worker. Everybody would love some chocolate, and who doesn't need chapstick? So I'm going to share a couple of tips and tricks for all 3 pieces of this box. So the box itself, the insert, and then the designer series paper for the wraps of the nuggets, okay? Let's see. I'm going to show you first the cardstock. Get my mouse going here really quickly. There we go. All right. So I love to maximize my my work, especially when I'm doing multiples. So for the outside of the box, I would cut this to 5 3/4 along the 8.5 inch side. Okay, so do that first. Then I would do the scoring next. So again, we would score at 3/4, 1.5 from each side, and again, 3/4, 1.5. So we've at least done half of the score lines, and then what you can do, bring the paper trimmer back, and then you'll cut the 2 pieces to 5 inch. Now you could also figure out the score lines to do all of the score lines ahead of time and then just cut once, or basically cut twice. But we've at least done those score lines and saved a little bit of time that we can then come back and do the 3/4 of an inch and 2 1/8 from each side along the 5 inch side. Okay, so that's a quick shortened tip on the box itself. For the insert, same thing. I would take, you could do a full sheet of the 8.5 by 11. I'm going to cut it to 5 1/16. And I know people will likely ask why I don't score with the paper trimmer. And for me, it's just more accurate on the Simply Scored. And this is my favorite tool of all time. So we've got that 5 1/16 inch along the top. Then I can do my 2 7/8 and 4 1/8. Flip it and do the 3.5. Okay. Then do the same thing here. 2 7/8. 4 1/8. I'm flipping it because we're sort of zigzagging or accordion folding. Then the 3.5. Okay, so there's that. Got all those score lines happening. Now the next thing I would do, gasp, I would do the tear and tape next. And we're going to go right underneath that outside valley score line. Same thing on the opposite side. This is a huge time saver. So we got the tear and tape there. Again, I just put it right underneath that top valley score line and right above that bottom valley score line. And then all you do is come here, I actually would do it upside down like that, to 1 1/4, and then you're just going to cut a whole bunch of pieces to 1 1/4. And that's already scored and already has the tear and tape right where you need it for those inserts, okay? And I believe you can get 8, I cannot remember, but I recommend the Die Cut app, DYCUT. You can figure out exactly how many pieces of a certain measurement to get out of a sheet of cardstock. Type in the starting size, the size of the pieces that you want, and it'll tell you exactly the orientation to cut it. I love the Die Cut app. And then my last tip is on a piece of 12 by 12. Now this is partial, but I would come in and cut it to 2 pieces, or sorry, not 2 pieces. I would cut it to 4 3-inch strips. Okay, so I'm just gonna do one of these for you here. And same thing, I'm gonna go to the back side here and we're gonna run a strip of tear and tape right along the edge. Like so. Then we're going to bring this back in and we're just going to cut a whole bunch of 1-inch strips that are ready to go with the tear and tape in place. I have not experienced that my blade gets gunked up with the tear and tape, but this just is such a time saver. So you go all the way, you can get a total of 48 Hershey's Nugget wraps from one sheet of 12 by 12, which is incredible. So those are all cut and ready to go with the tear and tape, ready for you to sit on the couch with your favorite TV show or audiobook and wrap some Hershey's Nuggets. So those are my tips and tricks for making multiples of this. So we're gonna jump into Q&A here really quickly. So give me one moment to tee us up. We'll wait for
one new person.
Oh, we do have a new person. Yay, let me pop that in the chat really quick and say hello. Oh, New Orleans is picking up. Let's see.
Do hashtag new.
Oh, hashtag new. Okay. Ooh, Kathy Vaverka, welcome to Live with the Paper Pixie. Welcome, welcome. Oh, thank Fran for me thank her for me for referring you to me. Oh, that's awesome. Welcome, Kathy. Welcome, welcome. All right, we're gonna do Q&A here really quickly. See if we're teed up. I am going to New Orleans, Jill. I leave in the morning. So if any of you are attending Backstage in New Orleans, this is an event for Stampin' Up! Leaders. I will be there. Please come and find me. And I forgot to show you. Since you asked, let me go back this way. I have 50 of this treat box. So come find me. These are swaps. I do not have to swap. So if you don't have a swap, just come find me. I'm gonna have 50 of the Christmas ones and 50 just because I love giving these out. So be sure to come find me if you'll be going to New Orleans. Great question. All right, let's see. I did not do an email, Mulan, but you just wanna go to, let's see, I do. thepaperpixie.com/total element. They actually are having a 15% off sale. I just got an email from them yesterday. That link will take you directly to the magnets that I use, the exact size that I use. They're based in the US, free shipping. I love ordering magnets from them. So that link, thepaperpixie.com/total element, will take you to the magnets, and they've got 15% off. Normally, when it's not the sale, if you just use coupon code PAPERPIXIE, you'll get 10% off, but no need to use the code right now while they've got the 15% off sale. Great question, Mulan. Thank you. Let's see. Returning a New Orleans project to take to New Orleans. I think, Mary, I'm not sure I totally understand your question, but yes, I'm taking this project to New Orleans as my swap. Okay, so the chapstick, you want to make sure you check out thepaperpixie.com/favorites, and there's a section on my favorites page for treats, and you'll see both sizes of the chap ice there. Okay, so check that out. I will also be updating the description of this video on both Facebook and YouTube with a link to the project sheet. Now stay tuned. Brian will be putting a link to that towards the end of the Q&A. Murphy clearing her throat. And I'll also include links to the chap ice as well in the description, so you can find those really easily. Sorry, Murphy clearing her throat. Yes, we are both creative, aren't we? They're doomed with us, aren't they? Will 3 nuggets fit? Hold on. I think you will have to flip one of them upside down. I'm checking here. Here we go. I don't think you can get 3 with the divider. So stick with me here. You can get, whoops, hold on. I'm doing this like you can see it. You can get 3 if you flip that middle one upside down, but I'm not sure I love how that looks. I do have a triple nugget treat holder and a double nugget treat holder, very similar to this. Brian is gonna maybe look for those links and put those in the chat. Yeah, I would do double nugget and triple nugget because I think those are a similar design project. If you're ever looking for projects of mine, you can always go to thepaperpixie.com, and there's a little magnifying glass in the upper right corner that you can search for things like nuggets, and you'll see all my Hershey's Nugget projects, things like that. So, ooh, all right, let's see. Nope, keep going. Keep going. Hershey's Nugget Duo, that's one of them, and Hershey's Nugget Trio, both of those. Okay, Brian will put those in the chat for you. When am I going to do fall cards? Linda, I did a fall card 2 weeks ago. I don't remember now, with the Rustic Harvest Suite. I will be doing more for sure. I don't have them specifically planned out for which days, but we will do some more fall projects. They will not be joining me in New Orleans. They're going to hang home with the doggies. So Allison, great question. Swaps are essentially, I share it like trading baseball cards or trading Pokemon cards. It's something like that where in most cases we bring cards to swap. So let's say you might make 25 of the same card, and you'd swap with other demonstrators, doesn't have to be other demonstrators, but other crafty friends, and you'd come home with 25 different cards. So very similar if you ever did like Girl Scout swaps or like trading baseball cards, Pokemon cards, that kind of thing. I love to do 3D projects. I don't necessarily need 3D projects back. I love to swap though, and I also love to just give. I don't need to swap if people don't have swaps to share, but it is literally, you're just swapping a project with somebody else, and it's a great way to get lots of inspiration and ideas. Let's see, where would I find that little lip ice? I will link it in the description, and then it's also on my favorites page, Bobby, okay? I go live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Again, this is episode 253, so I've been doing this every Wednesday. Well, most Wednesdays. There's been a few Wednesdays I haven't been able to make, but for the last 5 years. So you can always see me Wednesday night. Aw, thank you, Bobby. I am not going to be sharing a project from the Sunflower Paper Pumpkin, Geneva. Thanks for asking. Paper Pumpkin is my daughter's thing, so she gets the Paper Pumpkin subscription. I may share one of her projects as a show and tell, though. She actually hasn't opened it yet, believe it or not. She's still wrapping up last month's Paper Pumpkin kit. Ooh, Patty, good question. How long did it take you to make 100 boxes? Well, I still have 50 to make. They're already cut and ready. I just need to sit down. The Hershey's Nuggets are already wrapped. Let me show you. I do everything in stages. So this is 100 Hershey's Nuggets already wrapped in Orchid Oasis, because that box is going to be from the Sending Smiles bundle. I actually have one to show you. Hold on. I've switched it up a little bit, but this is what my other swap is going to look like. Lots of fun. Mango Melody, Polished Pink, and Orchid Oasis. The sentiment is in Starry Sky. And I'm trying to think, how long did it take me? I probably started them on Monday. I do a little bit at a time. And I'll probably be doing a little bit on the plane tomorrow. I do all the cutting, so I don't have to bring scissors with me. But I will bring my bottle of glue and probably some dimensionals and finish assembling them on my way to New Orleans tomorrow. But great question. Hello. Oh, I did have help with the die cutting. This guy, Brian, did the die cutting for me, so he's so good at it, I can't not ask him to help. Hey, Nalita. The size of the bow, great question, Linda. Let me measure that really quickly. Actually, it'll be easier to measure the die. So it's about 1.25 inches wide and 1.25 inches tall. So 1.25 inches square. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, Kathy. We're happy to have you here. I am going to New Orleans, Pam. I think I told you that on our team chat, right? Yep, definitely going, but tomorrow. It starts tomorrow night, so I'm going in the morning. I didn't want to miss out on my Wednesday live stream, so booked my flight for the morning. When you make multiples, do you cut all parts out at once or make one box at a time? Ooh, always I cut everything at once. So I do all the cutting, then I do all the scoring, well, I'd like the original size cutting, then all the scoring, then I do all the cutting to turn it into a box. And then I do everything in stages. I find that adds so much efficiency. So I wrapped all the nuggets at once, and then I don't move on to the next step until that one is done. So it makes making multiples go much faster when you do it sort of assembly line. If you were to sit and do one box at a time, it's a lot for your brain to sort of shift gears and do different tasks all in rapid succession. So if you can sort of repeat, you save a lot of time doing it that way. Do you just come up with the cue boxes, or have you seen them elsewhere? I can't imagine coming up with all the measurements. A little bit of a combination of both. I get inspired by lots of boxes that I see on Pinterest and with other Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, even boxes that weren't handmade, but I want to figure out how to design something like that. This one was one that I had actually designed back in November of 2019 that I brought to a Stampin' Up! Event. But that project never made it to my blog. And so I went back to my photos all the way back to November of 2019. I looked at the picture because I love to take pictures of sort of the stages. And I'm like, ooh, I got to figure out those measurements. The only thing I did differently with that past project was instead of Hershey's Nuggets, I put those Bob's Peppermints, the little peppermint, Bob's Peppermints. Yeah, little mini peppermint balls, the ones that kind of melt in your mouth. I put those in the box last time. So I'm not positive these are the exact same measurements because sometimes no two boxes are alike. But I think it's pretty darn close. Yes, the box dimensions have already been mentioned, but we will be linking at the end here in just a few minutes. We'll link to the project sheet. It's a one-page PDF that will have the measurements for you for reference, because it'll be a little bit before this project makes it to my blog at thepaperpixie.com, but I want to make sure you've got the measurements so you can make this project as quickly as after this live if you want to, okay? Do I make my paper color samples? I do not, Kathy. That is actually Brian King that does that, stampwithbrian.com. I order my swatch books from him each new catalog. So feel free to reach out to him. His blog is stampwithbrian.com and see if, I don't know if he has extras, but he does offer them at the beginning of each catalog. I've tried these several times and invariably I have an issue with them staying stuck. Cindy, are you talking about the lid on the box? See if you can give me a quick clarification question for that, because I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you're talking about the lid staying put, make sure that you're not cutting off too much. Like try to cut right up the middle of the score line when you're doing the, let's see, when you're cutting this part of the box, try not to cut off as much when you remove the 4 sections in the corner. Then that way it will, did she clarify?
She said the wrapper.
Oh, the wrapper. Good question. So I haven't had an issue with them coming unstuck, but I do burnish pretty quickly with my finger to make sure that that sticks. It's possible that, I don't know, I haven't had them come unstuck on me, but try burnishing just a little bit with your finger before you're done wrapping it, or I should say just when you're finished wrapping it, and see if that helps you out a little bit more. You could do liquid glue, but you gotta stand there and wait for it. So I do love the tear and tape. Some of you may have tried Stamp and Seal Plus. That might work as well. So I would try burnishing though to make sure those stay stuck. Good question. Did not hear where you can find the pretty bow. So that is available from the Cottage Wreaths bundle. In the Country Wreaths dies. Okay. And that is this bow here. Okay. Love that bow. Do I save my die cut templates with the dies? I do not, Linda, and the reason why I don't save, and she's asking about the templates that I have in my Stamparatus, because I only have so many Stamparatus plates, so I just clean the stamp, take the stamp off, and then once you clean the stamp and take it off the Stamparatus plate, the template doesn't work anymore, okay? So it's gotta be, there's just no, I would be inundated with my Stamparatus templates, but then I also wouldn't have clear plates to add stamps to. So yeah, I don't save them unless I know that I'm going to be doing a lot of that template and sort of taking a break for a couple of days. But, at some point then I will save them. But once I clean that stamp and take it off, it's no good after that. Let's see. Would a full-size chapstick fit without the divider piece? Let's see. I didn't tell you the dimensions of this really quickly, the outside dimensions. So this is 1 3/8 by 2 3/4 by 3/4. And I'm trying to think if a full-size chapstick. I don't think I have a full-size chapstick in arm's reach that I can test. But I want to say, I may have to get back to you on that, Fiona. I want to say 2 3/4 is typically the size of a chapstick. I don't know, maybe somebody in the chat has one handy that they could measure and let us know. I just don't have a chapstick at the ready. But I want to say 2 3/4 sounds right, but it's possible it's closer to 2 7/8 or more than that. So, good question. The backstage event is 3 days. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm excited. It starts tomorrow night, and then we'll go through Saturday night. So, great question, Jenny. So I use Avery Passport sleeves, I believe is what they're called. They are on my favorites page. It's one of my favorite, there's a mosquito in here. It's one of my favorite craft storage solutions because our adhesive backed embellishments all come in different packaging and different sizes. So that way I can have them all to the 4x6 Avery Passport holders. I just stick them to a 4x6 basically designer series paper backing. I just trim it down because those come in 12x12, and then I just stick it to that, and then they all fit. I have this old holder from Stampin' Storage, but they're just all uniform and fit, and I can label them if I want to. I usually get lazy and don't label them. But speaking of Stampin' Storage, you guys, today's the last day. They've got 15% off sale. Let me know if you want information about that before the sale ends tonight. I forgot to mention that. Can the pearls be colored? They absolutely can, Lonnie. Because they are not clear or white, you're gonna get a little bit of different shading if you color them with Stampin' Blends. However, I would not recommend you color these. Rather, I'd recommend that you color either our basic Pearl Basic Jewels or the Iridescent Basic Pearls. Those are sort of cream colored or white. That you can get a whole bunch of different colors by coloring them with the Stampin' Blends. These ones you can color, but I would go with the either white or cream colored pearls. That would be my recommendation. Yes, Tina also always reads the serving sizes too. You got to know how many you're getting. I would love the links to the chapsticks and the Hershey's bars. So I don't have a link for the Hershey's Nuggets, and I will tell you why, because they're way too expensive to order them off Amazon. So I recommend if you can get them from your local store, you can order them. Now, I think, Super Sanders, you're in Australia. I don't know if you have access to Hershey's Nuggets over there. I just don't know the answer to that. But there will be links to the chapsticks. I will add those. They're going to be the US links though, but I'm not sure if you're in Australia, if that would take you to the Australian link or if it takes you to the US store. I never know the answer to that. But I will include the links to the Chap Ice. It's already on my favorites page, but I will add it to the description as well. Why do you prefer it? I've heard several demos say the same about the Simply Scored. Just accuracy, to be honest. There's a little bit of not human error, but human, when you're using the paper trimmer, you can easily shift it to the right and left just a hair differently. Then with the Simply Scored, you know that as long as you have it in the upper left corner, then when you score from there out, it's going to be more accurate. That's my preference, and it's just easier to use, I think. I like the way that the score lines turn out with the stylus, more so than the scoring tool on the paper trimmer. That was a long-winded answer, but hopefully that makes sense. The name of the app is Die Cut, D-Y-C-U-T. It's a great app. It's free. I believe, now we've had this discussion before. I think you can get it for Android, but I don't count me on that, or don't hold me to that. You definitely can get it for iPhone. They do take donations, but it is a free app, and I use that all the time, especially when I'm doing multiples. So DYCUT, okay? How long did it take to make all those? Probably I never time myself, but maybe 8 hours total. Kind of worked on them. I watched a few episodes of Virgin River while I made them. I like to sit on the couch and do all the cutting and all that stuff while watching some shows that are. And Virgin River is one of those shows that you can watch with it kind of on in the background. I don't have to focus on that one. So. I showed you the Just Because swaps, Lynn. Hopefully you saw that. Have I ever considered a meet and greet? Tamara, tell me more about that. I have not considered that. Are you thinking like an in-person event? If so, I just don't do in-person events anymore. I can reach many more of you by doing them online. But maybe you're asking about a meet and greet like at a Stampin' Up event? I don't know. Let me know what you mean. What was Brenda Quintana, Beth, and her blog is QB's Quest, QBEE apostrophe S, Quest, QB's Quest, Brenda Quintana. Tons of Hershey's Nugget and Hershey's Kisses projects. So good. I will absolutely show you, Helen. I'll pick a few of them. I will likely get a lot because I'm taking a lot. So there probably won't be time to show all the swaps, but I'll definitely show some as well on probably maybe next Wednesday's live stream. That'll be show and tell. My YouTube channel is The Paper Pixie. Oh, that's right. You're watching on Facebook. So yes, The Paper Pixie, and we simulcast to both Facebook and YouTube, so you can catch me in either place. Backstage is a leadership event for demonstrators of a certain title and above, Silver Elite and above, and it is an event geared more towards leadership type discussions and keynote speakers and great education opportunities, and a great way for leaders to connect over networking lunches and just to connect with each other. This is the first in-person event we've had since 2019, and I'm really excited. So it'll be good to see people in person. With the swaps, are the dimension recipes shared with the items as well? It depends, Vicki. A lot of times with cards, folks will share the recipe in the card. That typically we would give them with a clear envelope, and they'd put a little slip of paper in there. I typically just send them to my blog to where they can find more details, especially for something like this, because there's not a whole lot of space for my information. So at least make sure that they know where they got the swap from and where to find me. Let's see. I'm hoping I'm not missing any questions. Oh, Lynn, I have not eaten any. Well, I take that back. I've had 2. I'm in the process of Invisalign right now, which, you guys, it's awesome because I don't feel like snacking, because every time I snack, I have to go brush my teeth. So yeah, I actually have not had as many as I would have. It'd be like one for the treat box, one for me, one for the treat box, one for me. So I've only had 2, but I did buy 3 of those bags because I needed 200 total. Let's see. Are you going to have to make more boxes since you scored and cut the paper? No. Well, I might, because these are really addicting to make. But yeah, that's funny. I was okay sacrificing some cardstock to save you all some time. So will you post a pic of the other box on your page or with the project sheet? I will. I'll probably share it on my blog, Linda, when I do this project. So stay tuned for that. Okay. I will try to share the swaps that I receive next week. Definitely for those of you on my team, we'll do that during our weekly team chat on Tuesday. And then those of you who are my fans and viewers, we'll do a little bit of show and tell with that next Wednesday. How's that sound with swaps? I think I answered that, Brenda. 3 nuggets will fit, but you got to put the middle one upside down. Brian did put some links in the chat to my Nugget Duo box and Nugget Trio box. There's a couple other options out there if you want to do 3. Well, one is 2 and one is 3. I do not have a box that holds just the mini chapstick penny. That would be a really tiny box. Now, I believe I have shared, maybe not. I've done a little mini milk carton, which could be cute for that little chapstick. But I don't know if I have that on my blog. Colorado Creating. So the description in YouTube, it depends on what device you're viewing on. If you're viewing on a computer, it's really easy to find. It's just beneath the video. If you're viewing the video on a mobile device, there's going to be a little caret down in the lower right, just under the video. If you click that, it should expand the description so that you can see links and such. It is always easier to find on a computer versus a mobile device. And then another quick tip, if you're watching on Facebook, oftentimes what Facebook will do is send you to the watch page. The watch page, you're not going to see any description of the video there. You want to make sure you come to my business page, The Paper Pixie, and there you'll be able to see the description as well. Brian, you want to go ahead and put the link in the chat? Brian's going to drop the link to the project sheet in the chat right now, just so you guys can grab it. Now that we're at the end of the live stream, I do have a couple more questions that I will address, and then I will also add it to the description so you have it. Okay? Let's see. Which size of tip do you use on your stylus when scoring? I always use the smallest one, Phyllis. It's just habit. I like sort of the thinner line. Some people prefer to use the bigger end when they're scoring designer series paper, and then the smaller end for cardstock, but I use the small end for both. I am new, let's see, and love your, Virgin River, okay, and enjoying your live so much. Thank you, Lori. Welcome to the Paper Pixie. Thank you. How many backstage events have you attended in the past? Mary, guess what? This is the first in-person backstage. So Stampin' Up! Started backstage. Our first one was supposed to be in New Orleans 2 years ago. It was going to be August of 2020, and we all know what happened in the year 2020. So that was pivoted to an online-only event. Then we were supposed to go to Vegas in 2021. That got pivoted to online-only event, and now we're trying again back in New Orleans, but this time in person. So there have been leadership events in the past, but not specifically backstage, so I'm really excited about this one. Your chapstick is 2 5/8 by 5/8. So Kathy, you can absolutely fit a chapstick in this box. You can actually fit, I'm doing the math really quick. You can fit 2 in this box. You should be able to fit 2 side by side, 5/8 and 5/8, 10/8. Ooh.
We had different measurements coming in.
Oh, you have different measurements coming. Oh, for
like everybody's getting different.
Gotcha.
Depending on what the chapstick is.
Gotcha. Yeah, the brands all have different sizes. Why do they do that to us? You know. I'm thinking, yeah, you should be able to do 2, Kathy, with the size chapstick you have. Yes, 2 should fit side by side in this box. Great question. All right, we are at the end of the questions. I'm just going to double check here that the link popped in the chat. You see it there? Just making sure the project sheet.
They said they got it.
Okay, awesome. So I will again update the description so you've got that. I am on my way to New Orleans in the morning. Tonight I will be finishing up my swaps as much as I can. I at least have half of them done and ready to hand out. So I've got 3 sleeps in New Orleans, so plenty of time to make the rest of the swaps. But thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you got some tips or tricks that helped you, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. I'm live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on both YouTube and Facebook. Would love to have you join me again next Wednesday. I'll share some swaps with you during show and tell. I appreciate you all being here. Thanks to those of you watching on replay as well. Have a wonderful and blessed week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Take good care, everybody. Bye.